Hello friends, welcome back to Faith and Arrow Homestead. My name is Jaylee and today we're going to do a little bit of postpartum meal prep. I am 34 weeks, which means I have roughly 6 weeks to go depending on how this all shakes out. And I have been making great progress on my meal prep. I will be honest with you, I have been really battling fatigue. I mean, really bad fatigue. And so it has been difficult for me to turn the camera on because filming just adds so much more work. And so I have been meal prepping and I have not been filming it, which is naughty, but I really do want to bring you at least some of these ideas. And then I had the bright idea at the end when I'm pretty much done meal prepping to get it all out and go and film a video of a comprehensive list of everything that I've meal prepped with all of the recipes linked in the description. I think that'll be an excellent resource, but I just won't have the instruction videos to go along with all of them. This one though, I think is going to be quick and easy and I'll be able to bang this out really quick. So in this video, we're going to be making sauces and gravy. I think a lot of people think of postpartum meal prep as meals, like full casserole dishes, foil pans of whole meals, and that's great, and absolutely I have a couple of those in the deep freezer, but I don't really operate that way. There are very few things that come to mind, very few meals that I would want to have the whole thing prepped. I'm more of a let's make this as easy as possible in terms of getting the ingredients ready. And so this is that. So for example, the very first one I'm going to show you, I made it already. This is spaghetti sauce. So I made dinner the other night. It was spaghetti and I made a double batch. So I made this big batch of spaghetti sauce. My spaghetti sauce is really easy. It's just ground beef, red sauce, Italian seasoning, and then I can pepper onion relish every year, except this year, unfortunately. And it is like a vinegary, pepper onion. It's so good. It's got these spices in it, and I'll put a whole pint-sized jar of, half-pint jar of that in my sauce. And then I do add sugar because of that vinegary pepper onion relish. I like to cut that relish flavor with a little bit of sugar. So that's roughly how I make my sauce. But I'm sure every family has their own way that they make spaghetti sauce. So just whatever recipe you use, go ahead and make it for dinner and then just double it. And now these are my freezer molds that we purchased on Amazon Prime Days recently. This is basically a super cube knockoff. I will put in the description both the super cubes as well as the knockoff that I purchased. The super cubes were just a little too expensive for me, so I did end up going with just a silicone knockoff. And these are 1 cup portions. So these cubes that I purchased come with 1 cup portions as well as a full-size 2 cup portion, and there's 2 of each. Now, I could put this entire thing in here if I was going to use this spaghetti sauce for dinner for Tom and I. And that very well may be how I use this. But I'm going to use the 2 cup because I could also see this being used for me for a quick lunch. And I'm really nervous about breastfeeding hunger and nourishing myself properly while trying to breastfeed. And so I am already thinking about feeding myself during the day. So I'm going to put them in the 1 cup portions so that I have that as an option for myself and I'm not having to thaw the entire 2 cup block, if that makes sense. And this is perfect. Now I did see on Pinterest that you can take this a step further, make your noodles and actually freeze the entire thing, like noodles on the bottom, sauce on top, and freeze it that way, and you've got the whole thing already done. I don't foresee it taking that much more effort to just throw some noodles in a pot of boiling water the day that I want this. The sauce is the hard part. So having the sauce prepped ahead of time, to me, this is great. I'm really excited to have a couple of these. I'll probably do this one more time so that I can have plenty of spaghetti sauce in the freezer. You can also can spaghetti sauce. I have done that in the past. I'm just not really canning right now, so I'm using my freezer. And I think that's valuable to share because some people don't can, haven't gotten started canning, are intimidated by canning, and you should know that you can also freeze these things. If you've got freezer space, heck yeah, utilize that as a form of food preservation. Okay, moving on to the next one that we're going to do. We are going to make sausage breakfast gravy. I have buttermilk biscuits frozen. We made those together, and I'm actually going to be making another batch of those. And I love the idea of, again, using the 1 cup molds, having sausage breakfast gravy frozen and ready. I can pop this out into a saucepan, heat it up, add a little bit of milk if I need to, and I've got sausage gravy already made to go over biscuits with eggs for a breakfast or again for a lunch if I'm hungry and it's the middle of the day. Love the idea of having that already made. I'm just really trying to foresee, like, what am I gonna want? What's gonna taste good? What am I not gonna have to, like, I love biscuits and gravy. So if I'm starving and I really need to figure something out quick, I know that I will enjoy eating biscuits and gravy. So when I'm trying to put this postpartum meal prep together in my mind, that's where I'm going. What do I for sure like? I'm not going on Pinterest and trying out all these random recipes that I've never made before. I have no idea if I like them, just so I can have stuff in my freezer. I want to make sure that the stuff that I'm prepping, I'm going to want to eat beyond a shadow of a doubt. And so breakfast gravy is one of those things. So this one's really easy. I'm going to take you over to the stove and we're just going to fly through this because very, very easy to make. Now I do use a pot for this. My cast iron skillet, especially for this amount that I'm making, my cast iron skillet, I probably could pull it off, but it's really going to be pushing it. So I'm going to go ahead and get a pot out and I'm going to add 1 pound of breakfast sausage. Does everybody watching this video own one of these? This is the absolute best kitchen gadget I think I've ever owned. I love it so much, and it makes breaking up meat when you're cooking it a breeze. I inherited this thing when I moved into the townhouse. It was left here, and I love it so much. I'll find a similar one on Amazon and link it down below if you don't own one. If you do a lot of cooking ground meat, you have got to get one of these. Okay, while this sausage is browning, I want to talk to you about this whole gravy concept so that you really understand, because I'm not going to be able to give you measurements. I'm going to just find a sausage gravy recipe online and post it in the description for you. But I'm not following one. I never do. Here's what you need to know about how it works. So all sausage gravy is sausage, flour, and milk. And then salt and pepper. You could add a little bit of butter in there. Sometimes I do if I want like a buttery flavor in my gravy, but all you need is sausage, flour, and milk. Now, we have 1 pound of sausage. After it's finished cooking, I don't take the sausage out of the skillet, I leave it, and you're going to add flour on top of it, and the sausage and all of the fat that comes off of the sausage is going to mix with the flour. You're going to let that cook for like a minute just to cook out the flour flavor, and then you're going to add your milk. So those are the steps that you're about to see. The amount of flour that you add determines both the amount of gravy you end up with as well as the flavor. If you add a lot of flour, then you are going to have to add a lot of milk, and you're going to end up with a larger bulk of gravy. But the flavor is going to be more diluted because you did that. If you add less flour, it'll take less milk to get it to that creamy gravy consistency that you're looking for. You'll have less overall gravy, but the flavor will be more concentrated. Does that make sense? And so in this particular circumstance, I'm actually looking for more bulk. I want to be able to freeze several servings of this gravy. I have several biscuits frozen, and we'll have more made, and so I want to make sure that I have plenty of gravy. So I am going to add I'm going to go heavy on the flour, knowing that in order to get it thin enough to be that gravy consistency, I'm gonna have to add more milk. And again, I'm just repeating myself. I'm gonna have more gravy, but the flavor will be more dispersed and not as concentrated. So I just wanted to explain that to you. You know, so much of being competent in the kitchen is just understanding actually what's happening. Like when you very first start out cooking, you're reading a recipe, and that's great, and that's how you start. You're reading a recipe, you're doing exactly what it tells you and the quantities that it tells you, and that's awesome, and you're gonna end up with food to eat. But as you do it more and more, you're gonna start to understand the relationships between the ingredients, and that's when you really become confident and competent in the kitchen and can alter things and mess with things to get your desired product. My mom always says, cooking is an art, baking is a science. This is cooking, and so you can really mess with it. You can scale up this ingredient, scale down that ingredient, add this ingredient, when you understand how they all work together to get you to your final product. So I just really wanted to explain that, and this is just about ready, this sausage, so let's go ahead and add our flour. I like my sausage to be really well broken up. I don't want my sausage chunks to be really big, so this looks amazing. I'm actually gonna be done with the spatula now, and I'm going to move into whisk territory. Anytime I make a gravy, I find that a whisk is the superior tool. And I'm going to add enough flour that I feel like all of the fat from the sausage has been really well absorbed. I'm gonna add one more spoonful. So that was probably 4 tablespoons of flour that I just added in here. And you can see how it's kind of sticking to the bottom of the pot, or I don't know if you can, I guess. And it's getting really clumpy. See that, how it's getting really clumpy? So now we're going to add our milk, and that is going to start to give us our gravy. And I do the milk in batches. I don't pour it in all at once because, well, I don't know how much I'm gonna need yet. By the way, this has been on medium-low heat the entire time, and that's where I'm gonna keep it. So in between your milk additions, especially once you get to this point, let it sit for a second and heat up, and it'll continue to thicken and give you a good idea of how much milk you still need to add. I wait till it's bubbling a little bit, and then I'll add more. Okay, I'm really happy with this consistency. I think it's going to thicken up a little bit as it sits on the heat here. So I'm going to turn the heat off, and this is done. The next one that I want to share with you is actually even easier than the last, and that is taco meat. Guys, I'm just so stoked about this. I'm so glad that I'm doing postpartum meal prep, and I think my future self is gonna be so glad that I did. So I make taco meat a lot, and there's a lot of different things you can do with it. You can obviously make tacos, you can make burritos. Something that I very commonly will do for a lunch is make a cast iron skillet of nachos. I often make those as a lunch or like a snack for Tom and I on like a Saturday. You can make taquitos. There's so many different things you can do with taco meat. Oh, you know, one of my favorite things to do with it, this is just like a quick little snack idea for you. I love to mix together cottage cheese, sour cream, shredded cheese, taco meat, taco sauce, and then anything else I might have. If I have olives, if I have lettuce, if I have tomato, if I have avocado, like if I have any of those other things around, I will mix it all together in a bowl and eat it with like a dip with tortilla chips. So easy, so quick, and I will often turn to that in a pinch for like a lunch for myself or a snack or something. And so having taco meat on hand is gonna be great. This is gonna be a great one. There's not really anything to show you except for the fact that I have a pound of ground beef and I make my own taco seasoning. I have a video where I make this. I'll link the video, but I also have the recipes for all of my seasonings because I make all of my seasonings. I have these recipes on my website. So I'll link the video as well as the blog post with the recipes down in the description. And I can never ever remember how much seasoning. I'm gonna start with 2 tablespoons for a pound, and then I'll taste it, and if I wanna add more, I'll add more. And that's it. That's how I make taco meat. Okay, the last one is the most complicated of all of them, only because there's a few more ingredients. It's still really easy, and it's homemade sloppy joe. This is a staple in this house. We make sloppy joes a lot. I like to try and make homemade hamburger buns to go with it if I'm not that ambitious. We have been known to just eat it on pieces of sandwich bread, and it's delicious. It's much tastier and much healthier than the stuff that you buy at the store, and again, it's easy. So what we're gonna do here, the thing about sloppy joe is that it's a great way to sneak in veggies. So you could do anything. We often do onions, garlic, peppers, carrots. You could do zucchini, mushrooms if you wanted. You could really put a lot of different vegetables in here. And if you cut them up teensy tiny enough, just like they are in the cans of Manwich from the store, you know, those eating it would hardly even notice. Today, all I have is some onion and garlic. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get that into my cast iron skillet with some butter and let that saute for a second before we add in our ground beef. Gonna season with just a little bit of salt. And pepper. Once those have been cooking for a couple minutes, I'm gonna go ahead and add in a pound of ground beef. It's just my husband and I eating these meals, so I'm not going crazy with my quantities. That's why I'm just adding a pound here and a pound there. If you've got a lot of people that you're feeding, obviously scale this up or down to suit your needs in your postpartum season. While the meat is still cooking, I'm going to go ahead and add in roughly a tablespoon of brown sugar. I like to add it now. I love how it kind of like the flavor mingles and gets in with the ground beef while it's sauteing. So there is a recipe for this. I will have to find it online and post it for you down in the description. I have made this so many times that I don't know what the recipe says. I don't look at it anymore. I just put in a little of this and a little of that, and I know at this point pretty much what works. So I'm going to show you how I do it, but I will try to have that recipe down in the description for you so that you can follow the recipe the first few times you make it before you venture out into the wild. So once this is, you know, it doesn't have to be perfectly cooked, but once it's close, we're going to add red wine vinegar. And again, I don't know how much, I just kind of put some in. We're also going to add Worcestershire. Both of these flavors are pretty strong, but they really give you the sloppy joe. Those two, I think it's the Worcestershire and the red wine vinegar together, really, it's already starting to smell like sloppy joe. As soon as you add those two ingredients, you're like, oh yeah, that's sloppy joe, all right. You're going to add a splash of maple syrup. That was a little bit more than a splash. And you're gonna add in your tomato sauce. Okay, and that's it. Now, the last ingredient that I would add, but I've decided I'm not gonna add it right now, I'm going to add it in the future when I heat this up, is tomato paste. because this is still pretty runny. And to be honest, part of that is because I never drain my meat. But it's still pretty runny. You could let this cook for a while, cook down, and it'll thicken up. Or if you don't feel like doing that and you want it to thicken up faster, you add tomato paste. And that's the trick to getting Sloppy Joe, any kind of tomato sauce, thick fast, is to add tomato paste. Now, I want to wait and see what the consistency of this looks like when I'm heating it up, because I've never frozen this before. I'm sure it'll freeze beautifully. But once I have my individual servings in my saucepan, I can judge what's needed, and if it's too runny, then I'll add tomato paste then. I've got plenty of tomato paste down in my food stores, and yeah, this is it. This is how you make homemade Sloppy Joe. It is delicious. You can make it really healthy by adding in veggies and by using a good quality ground beef, and it's a good protein-rich dinner. So this is random. Right now I have the gravy, the Sloppy Joe, and the spaghetti sauce in the freezer in their silicone molds. I only have the 1 pack of molds, so I have to do it in batches, but it's in the freezer, and as soon as it's frozen and ready to move on to the next step, I'll show that to you. But I want to have some lunch, and I just wanted to share with you what I've been doing for lunches, because I feel like lunch is so tricky. It's really tricky for me. And so this is the best way that I have found to get all of the nutrients that I need in the middle of the day. So here I have a glass of full fat raw milk. I try to drink a glass of milk every single day. It's good for me, and it's good for the baby. I also have this, I'm not sponsored, but I genuinely buy this and use it. It's cowboy colostrum. And this is a cow colostrum product that I mix into my glass of milk. And then I have some sort of fruit. Today it's apple slices. It's often watermelon, peaches, cherries, strawberries, just like whatever fruit I have in the house. So apple slices. I make something sweet every single Sunday. Tom really likes those Archway Dutch cocoa cookies from the store. So I found a copycat recipe and tried to recreate them. They are nothing to look at. They are so ugly, but they taste so good. So it's either a muffin or a cookie or a scone or a cake. I make something on Sunday that we munch on throughout the week, just so we always have something sweet. And I like to have something sweet for lunch with the glass of milk. And then I'll add chunks of cheese as well. And so it's like almost like what, like a little charcuterie lunch or something. But I really feel like it covers everything. It's going to give me everything I need for energy and nutrition in the middle of the day. And it's all stuff that I like and want to eat, so I don't dread lunch. And this has been really working for me, especially through this pregnancy. All right, friends, we're going to move on with the spaghetti sauce. I think it's frozen enough to work with. We're about to find out. What I'm hoping to use, I use 4 Jars canning lids. I'm not affiliated with them. It's just what I use. And last year I got a really good deal, but I had to add one more thing to my cart. So I added these vacuum sealer bags. So I've got a bunch of these that I need to work through. They're cut to a specific size. I don't usually buy vacuum seal bags that are cut to a specific size. In my food saver here, I have just the generic roll, and you can cut it to be whatever size you want or need. And that's what we're going to be using to store. Sorry, I'm sitting in a chair. That's what we're going to be using to store these things that we've made together in this video is my food saver. And I've been using it a lot for this postpartum meal prep. I love my food saver. I love how organized you can be with the food that you store, how well it keeps when it is vacuum sealed. I like having my food saver. It was a birthday gift from Tom like 3 years ago, and I use this thing all the time. I'm not going to be able to fit the full size freezer mold food in these bags, but I'm hoping that these 1 cup will fit. Maybe. It might be close. We'll have to see. Okay, let's see if this is frozen enough to pop out of here. Oh, just barely. It's still a little wet, but I think I can do it. I don't know if that's going to fit in here. I don't think it is. Come on. Okay. Now the question is, will it close like that? Maybe. I'm gonna let the other ones get more frozen solid than this. I just am really wanting to wrap this up, if I'm being honest with you. So I just wanted to show you, because I'm gonna do this exact same thing with all of this food. And I don't need to show you that for all of it, but I wanted to show you at least one. Okay, let's see if this will work. The reason I'm not sure is because when you're trying to use your food saver, it has to have enough room for you to be able to close the machine and it still stay in the little vacuum pocket here. So this is really close. Let's see if it'll work. Oh, it's not frozen enough. It's still really wet. So I like to freeze my food before I use my food saver, because especially if it's wet in any way, if there's absolutely any liquid in it whatsoever, because when you hit the vacuum button and it sucks all the air out, it also sucks all the liquid forward, and I can already see that this did not seal because of that. And it does have a dry and moist setting. It doesn't do anything. That never works for me. So this isn't gonna store as long because of that, because it didn't seal super well because of the liquid being sucked through. Does that make sense? So it vacuums and then it goes to the seal function, which is this black line here, and that heat seals the plastic together. But if there's liquid there, it's not going to seal very well, right? Just like canning. If there's liquid underneath the seal of the lid, it's not going to seal very well. And that's the same thing is true. Yep, see right here? There, it's not sealed right here because of the liquid. So this totally did not seal at all. So that's okay. I just can't do this right now, evidently. These need to be frozen more before. There can't be any unfrozen loose liquid because it'll just get sucked through when the vacuum setting comes on. So should I wait to finish this video, or do you get the gist? What time is it? I think you probably get the gist. That's so irresponsible. I'm sorry. I have been a subpar content creator. I'm just so tired. Oh man. All right. Well, this is how I'm going to be storing these things. For these 1 cup freezer molds, it looks like I will be able to use these vacuum sealer bags from 4 Jars, which is great. I can still vacuum seal this because there's a little gap, so I'm going to stick this back in the freezer and I'll be able to vacuum seal it. So I am going to go ahead and write on it in Sharpie, spaghetti sauce. Yes, I'm definitely labeling these, because how would I be able to tell the difference between, well, I would, because they're different sizes, but if they were the same size, how would I be able to tell the difference between this and Sloppy Joe, for example, or this and taco meat, you know what I mean? So I label it and then I just put the month and the year. Ooh, I'm writing July. It's not July anymore. That's funny. Close enough. And I will be storing these in my deep freezer. And when they are properly vacuum sealed, they'll store for a long time. And I'm doing that because I don't want to pressure myself. If I just stuck this in a Ziploc bag, it would get freezer burnt a lot quicker and I would feel a lot more pressure to go through it. I don't know. I want to give myself all the options. Maybe we'll eat all this stuff right away. Maybe it'll sit in the freezer for a few months. I don't know. So the food saver is a great way to store these things well and to store it in a way that's really cohesive and organized. So that's my plan for all of these things that we've made together today. So we did the spaghetti sauce, the sausage gravy, the taco meat, and the Sloppy Joe. And all 4 of those are excellent additions to my postpartum food prep that I know we'll eat. They will nourish our bodies, and it just gives me, it takes some of the stress and pressure off of me. If I'm having a day where I've been breastfeeding all day, I'm exhausted, I'm hungry, and I need to feed us, I will have quick, easy to put together meals that Tom can help me with. With this spaghetti sauce, I can tell him, get a spaghetti sauce out of the freezer, cut open the plastic, put it in the pot in a saucepan to reheat, and boil some noodles in a pot, and we have dinner, and put a couple pieces of bread in the toaster oven. Done. He can do that. And so I think this will just make our lives so much easier. So I hope that you found these ideas in this video helpful. Thank you for putting up with me and my tiredness. Normally I like to put in a little bit more effort with my videos, but as long as you're getting the gist, because I really do just want to share these ideas with you. I have scoured the internet looking for postpartum ideas, and all I'm seeing are these Ziploc chicken crock pot meals that I don't want. And so I'm not going to that's not the content that I'm going to put out. I'm really trying to think of what are hearty, practical, easy, everyday meals that people are eating that are actually in the rotation that can be prepped ahead of time. That's kind of like where my mind, like that's what I'm wanting to serve the internet. So, even if it's not got a bunch of pretty B-roll footage and I didn't put in contacts and here we are, I still was able to get the information to you, and that's what matters to me. So thank you so much for hanging out with me while we did this, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. Have faith and keep moving forward. Bye, friends.